You need to know what our founders believe. And you need to know this. With firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors. I have firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. You need to know every one of these words. You say it, you mean it from the core of your being. It will be the only reason you can stand in tough times. And you've got some powerful enemies. Mr. Soros, let me just tell you something. If I happen to fall out, what was that movie where the guy fell out of the window at the end? Oh, maybe we'll talk about that later. If anything happens to me, what is it the people at the Tides Foundation are saying right now? Oh, yeah, that's right. I got this. I love this phrase. Blood will be on your hands, sir. $1 million bounty. Sir, you are calling for a managed decline of the dollar. I'm calling for a restoration of man's freedom. A deep understanding of all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What I do on this program is stand for those willing to risk their lives for man's freedom, man's liberty, so they can pursue happiness. Peacefully stand together against all of the odds, against all of the money, against all of the power. Just stand with the most powerful weapon apparently anyone can wield, their voice. Once again, I gently and sincerely invite Mr. Soros on this program, because Mr. Soros, only the truth shall set you free. All the money in the world piled on top of itself will not be enough to cover all the lies. As you said in Episode 6 of Star Wars, I believe, only in the end will you understand. That was a great performance by you, but I thought it was. I did. It was you, right? You know what's really sad? Johnny Carson knew when to bow out. You know, right before he became an embarrassment, looking desperate. I challenge you, sir. I mean, assuming that you're all still there. Put your money where your mouth is. That's what I do. Why don't you put your mouth where your money is? All however many millions of dollars you've put in for your mouth. Back in a minute. If you're just joining us, some great news for Media Matters for America. They are the progressive hack site that employs people highly paid to sit around in their underpants and take conservatives like me out of context. Well, they were started by progressive, this is weird, Hillary Clinton.
Institutions that I helped to start and support, like Media Matters and Center for American Progress.
Wow, and I thought she was starting to look moderate. Oh, it's weird, isn't it? Well, the Center for American Progress, Media Matters, there's George Soros in there too. The ironic thing here is that Media Matters is a 501c3. Progressive organization, not paying taxes. Anyway, they just got a wonderful, crisp new $1 million bill donation that they also won't pay taxes on from George Soros. That $1 million will cover the top 5 paid employees at Media Matters, since they all pay themselves well into 6 figures. Soros, you must be so proud. That's charity. Anyway, I want you to take a look at what George Soros is doing here. He's basically saying, because he's putting up $1 million, get him! Putting up $1 million bounty on my head. And he's saying that he won't put money into the system. He's not going to back any Democratic candidates based on their ideas. No. He's decided that the old system, the one, he's been involved creating, that ain't working. So he's decided that the media doesn't work either. So he's going to create a new media platform to get his message out. Not one that starts from the ground, not one that starts from an entrepreneur or you. No. This one's from the very top. This one's from Spooky Dude. You want to talk about punching down? This is the most powerful man in the world, sensing he may lose his global denomination, and so he has to create an entirely new media to get the little fly at 5 o'clock. Wow. The media he originally created failed government, failed creating something new, failed. You've seen now what happens when Soros wants to push the collapse of currency. He uses his high standing and writes op-eds, and then the little sheep follow suit and mimic what he does. By him announcing he's done funding Democrats, did that hurt the Democratic funding? Did it? Why would he do that? I ask you to write in your diaries, please. Write in your diaries. This is a big day. This is an important day. People may not understand it yet, but it is. You know what this is? This is Citizen Kane. This is Citizen Kane. This is a guy who was big money and out of control, and I will control it all. And he didn't work out that way. But it's also interesting because Citizen Kane was made by Orson Welles, and this was actually the real-life Randolph Hearst, Orson Welles story as well. George, I just want you to know, I studied Orson Welles. I mean, he's one of my idols, and not for what he did, what he created, or what kind of guy he was. Well, actually, it is what kind of guy he was. I learned most lessons from Orson Welles on what not to do. But, George, may I, since we're swapping movies, I'll just give you Citizen Kane because, sir, this is who you are. We'll talk about that within 10 days. This is a turning point. They had been planning this. Remember when there was no support for the health care bill and everybody said, they won't jam it through. Why would they do that? Stop playing by the rules that you understand. You have to think out of the box. How does that help them? They'll lose in November. Yes. Yes. I explained at the time why they would do that. It makes sense if you don't think like a politician. If you're truly going to transform the nation, what is the easiest way to do them? Let them have it as it all comes crashing down. You stir the pot at the base, and everybody's looking for an answer, and you're saying, it's them. But they have answers over here. Come to me. It's happening. It's happening now in France. It's happening now in England. You've been seeing these all day long. He's not playing by the rules. He's playing by the rules for radicals. Take George Soros and everybody down beneath him at the surface. He says the Democrats have less to offer. He's not voting with his wallet on something positive. No, no. He's betting on get 'em. He's not investing in people. He's investing in his own new system, the attack squad. In fact, just today, Media Matters added this page to their website. Look at this. It's fascinating. They agree with their new donor, their new partner for Tide, saying, quote, it has become clear that the only way to stop supporting Beck is to stop supporting Fox News. You don't get it. I mean, you were in Star Wars. You should watch. Remember when they did to Obi-Wan? Strike me down. You will only make me more powerful. What are you? You're in collapse. It's a sad, sad day in America. It is. When you have the most powerful man in the world getting all of his money, all of his power, and just blindly swinging because a gnat is making the world come apart. One that he has tried to. What is that Fabian Society thing? Oh, yeah. We will pound it back into our image. Not interested, Mr. Soros. Should make that case directly to the American people. Oh, by the way, you can do that in a full hour here on this program. America, this is actually good news. It shows how close you are to winning. Their system is built on lies. If it weren't, Soros would not be out in the open. He wouldn't be. He wouldn't be tearing apart a guy everybody here calls a clown. Or what was it, a Mormon or a fearmonger? I don't know. He's just a crazy man who doesn't believe anything. He's so crazy he believes everything he's saying. What? Now that you've got another $1 million to spend on darts, just keep throwing them. I'm sure one will stick eventually. And then thousands will replace me. Plus, I'm an extra large target. I mean, it should be Should be easy. Bring it on.
Visiting Angel.
I had an entire other show planned for you tonight. It was actually planned on this book. And when this press release came out from George Soros in regards to me, and now he's just stepping up. He's stepping out into the light to attack me directly with money. Get him. We had to put this show on the shelf, and hopefully we'll bring it to you tomorrow. This book is from 1935, and actually, I'll show it to you later, but it deals with what we're talking about right now. It ties right directly into this book. It's all about the rise of radicalism in tough economic times. In 1935, the nation was in the depths of the Depression, and FDR was concerned about radicalism because when times become desperate enough, people will turn and they become crazy. They'll do crazy things, and they'll turn to just about anybody. Anybody who will say, I'll save you. Save you. That's why, and Media Matters will take this out of context, but I've written it in my book, so go ahead. Jesus and Hitler had they had one thing in common. One, and only one. They both could look in the eyes of a hungry man and say, come, follow me. I have an answer. You got to be careful, because one's Jesus and one's Hitler. Bad. We'll get into this tomorrow night. But we have to be careful on whom we turn to in crisis. And this is why I believe I have talked about peace and nonviolence on this program more than anyone else in all of television, maybe all of them combined, more than anybody else since the 1960s. I was telling you in 2004 these times were coming. I was telling you all these things, and they are coming. That's why when I tell you peace, it's not because I think you're violent, because there are nut jobs. There are nut jobs in the country. There are nut jobs that want power. There are nut jobs that just want to take personal violence for their own. There are. And we have to be careful, because the country is sitting on a powder keg. I don't know how I became the radical. But that's what George Soros would like you to believe, that I'm the radical, that the Tea Parties are radical. You should turn to him. In these shadowy organizations, turn to him or to his minions for answers. Oh, he'll have answers. They've created the problems, but they also have the solutions waiting for you. That's why he's willing now, finally, to openly donate $1 million to Media Matters. He has got to stop me and you and Fox. They have got to shut us up. They have to paint me as a radical, a danger, anything, anything. Smear, discredit, take him out. It isn't like Media Matters hasn't talked about me enough already. I don't know why they need another $1 million. There has already been something like, you ready? 50,000 Glenn Beck mentions on Media Matters website. 50,000. But as we always do, we're not going to just talk about people. We'll use their own words and decide who the real radical is. Tonight, George Soros. Who's the real radical? For instance, what does Mr. Spooky himself think about our system as it stands now in America?
I believe that basically the system is broke and needs to be reconstituted.
Wow. Okay. You might be there saying, okay, tough times are here. It's broken. Sure. I got a new book coming out next week called Broke. Every economy goes through peaks and valleys. Every economy, left alone and restoring virtues and values and honesty and integrity. And the free market system adjusts and rights itself. But that's not what George Soros is talking about. In fact, he just said, what was the name of that editorial that he did? America doesn't need virtues. It needs stimulus.